You're just gonna be staring at me while I tell my story. I do my intro like 10 times every time I do an intro.
The intro take is like the longest part of the video.
Yeah, and I always forget to say, please like, subscribe, I always forget to say it at the beginning. Hey YouTube, it's your girl Aisha Lovely.
No. Your voice cracked with the hay.
Hey YouTube, it's your girl Aisha Valdi, and today I am back with another story time. As you can tell by the title, I will be telling you guys about my experience. Hey YouTube, it's your girl Aisha Valdi, and today I am back with another video. As you can tell by the title, I have another story time for you guys. Yes, you guys, the stories never end, and this I believe is the most memorable story of my life. I will never forget this story. If you guys think my other stories were crazy, best believe this one's 10 times crazier. Okay, now before I get started on this story time, I'm gonna need for you all to like, subscribe, and comment below what you guys would like to see next. Okay, because if you don't subscribe, you will end up with a psychopath friend. So go ahead and subscribe. What's funny?
I'm just thinking about all the threats that you always throw at them every time.
Also, be sure to follow me on all my social media platforms that will be linked down below. Let's get into it. Okay, so this is part one of this story time because this story is beyond long. I actually hope once you guys are done watching this video, this is a long story, so I don't know if I should split this into two or just make it one long ass video. But I will say, at the end of the situation, I learned to not be so nice, to trust my first intuition, my first gut feeling. And I also use that friend word lightly because when I came across this creature, I really thought I had a friend, but this was just a big lesson in disguise that God just brought in front of me. So yeah, I'm just gonna start the story. So this story starts with a girl. I don't know if I should name her Creature or Weirdo. Which one sounds better?
Creature sounds so hard.
I don't want to name her a real name. It's therapeutic for me to give them the name they deserve. Her feelings about to be hurt if she watches this video. We're just gonna call her Creature, you guys. Okay. So how me and Creature met, we met back in 2016. I met her through mutual friends. So when she moved to Cincinnati, she moved from New York, and she already had like 2 mutual friends that were already here. So those mutual friends is how we pretty much connected, but I didn't really care for her much. It was like I already had my own friend group or whatever, but like as time went by, I could feel that she was trying hard to be my friend. Like, you know those people that try their best to be your friend and then you could just tell it's not that genuine? I don't know, it's like she really wanted to be my friend. I don't know how to explain how I felt, but it felt like she really wanted to be my friend. But at that time, I honestly thought it was genuine. If you guys see me looking off, it's because I took a lot of notes on my phone because I want this story to be told the right way, okay? So time passed, I realized like she's friends with a lot of people, and the majority of the friends she had went to the University of Cincinnati, which is the school I attended. And I always wondered how she made those friends, but I just assumed that she was just a social butterfly. But once you get to know her, you realize she's super antisocial. Like, it's no way this girl can make friends this easily. So I don't know if she made friends and then she was just hanging out with those mutual friends, or she actually genuinely became super close to these people. But she was telling us that she attended Cincinnati State, which is a community college here. So to others, she's claiming she goes to University of Cincinnati, which was a whole lie, but you guys will see a little further down in the story. We didn't know that. We just assumed like she was going to Cincinnati State. So we're hanging out here and there, but I'm just cordial with her. I wasn't really looking at her as a friend. It was just someone that's like, okay, seems like you're good peoples if you're hanging out with these people that I know. So I kind of hung out with her by association. Okay, so one of the mutual friends that I had, they claimed, before they had the falling out, they claimed that they were cousins. So I guess they grew up together and kind of claimed each other as cousins, but by blood they really weren't. So they're both from New York. They moved in together and they had like this whole situation where Creature okay, so Creature is going around telling everybody that this mutual friend that I have wasn't paying rent, and it led to them getting evicted. So nobody believed a word she said. Everybody believed Creature, because Creature was someone that came off as like very responsible and nice and cool. So nobody believed that friend. I wish I would have believed the friend because Damn. So that was that. You can't be a serial liar. That's bad. Fast forward to 2019 at UC's African Night. We were at a pregame. My best friend Angui was there. She's sitting over there listening to the story or whatnot. Me and Angui at this time, we were just cordial. We were just like regular smuggler friends. We weren't as close as we are now. Now that's my bestie. That's my ace boom coon. That's my, you know, that's my baby daddy or whatever. But at the time, we were sitting at the pregame and I came there with Creature. I think that was kind of like our first time, not really our first time, but that was our first time actually like going out together at a party or whatever. And we're sitting down and she's like, oh, we saw Angui and she was like, oh, I tried to message her but she never replied. And I'm like,
No.
that's what she told me.
Oh, okay, go ahead.
So she told me I DM'd her and she never replied. And I was like, oh, she gets a lot of DMs, so I'm pretty sure she didn't see it. Did you DM her again? She was like, yeah. Angui, you're gonna fall head first. I think this is actually our first time talking about this together, like in depth, but this part of the story time. So she's moving closer because it's about her now. So I'm like, girl, you better because she said, okay, let me rewind a little bit. She went to school, she graduated with her bachelor's degree in marketing and business or whatever. So I'm like, oh, this girl is certified to be an influencer manager or whatever she wanted to do, entertainment manager, whatever. So when she brought that to me, at that time, I'm like at 10K followers, I believe. And Angui's following was already up there. So she was like, yeah, I have a friend who has a following, but her following is not that big, but it's big. And I helped her get a $5,000 brand deal with Fashion Nova for like, I guess not a brand deal, but like a deal for that one. Like, is it considered a brand deal?
Huh? The deal she was offering me?
Like if you say like, oh, I got offered a brand deal, like a $5,000 brand deal, is that just for, that's what it's called, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, she basically said I helped a friend, I managed her and helped her get a $5,000 brand offer. I'm like, ooh, sounds kind of nice. It sounded too good to be true, but I was like, then again, I'm like, she's from New York, so she probably has connections. And at that time, I'm like, this is someone who knows a lot of people. Like, she's really good with networking. So I tap Angui, and she's like, no. I looked at her like, don't you want your coins? Don't you want to manage someone? And then I tapped Angui anyway. So Angui turned around. I was like, oh, she said she wanted to help you get some brand deals. She's good at managing. She's experienced with managing. So Angui listens to her.
I was like, remember, because I didn't know she said no. That's what she said.
She pulled me back, but I'm like, why? And I still tapped you.
I had a whole talk with her before that. Like, I had a talk with her on the phone before that, and like we talked for like 20 minutes, and I did not reply. I replied to her, and like,
she said you never replied.
We texted about it. We had a phone call for like 20 minutes, and then I think maybe I didn't reply after she checked up on that phone call, but she had never told me about any brand deal. And then did you already explain to them the thing, Fashion Nova thing?
Yeah, like with the friend, how she got the friend the $5,000.
No, she said she said she had one. Like, she was like, yeah, I had a $5,000 Fashion Nova deal for you, but I don't like to bother people. So I was like, why didn't you tell me?
Yeah, I remember that. She said she basically had one waiting for Angui, and basically, like, Angui wasn't replying, so basically Angui was out of luck for that.
But she never told me about, like, she didn't say she had any brand deal. She just said
she's a liar.
She could work.
She's a liar.
But you should tell them how that doesn't make sense if you had a $5,000 brand deal. And you didn't tell someone because you would want to make
that makes no sense. Yeah, exactly. Her lies are good until it stops making sense. So you'll believe it at first, then it starts not making sense, but you don't catch on till later. It's weird. Now we're all three of us are connected. We make like a group chat. I think it was immediately that we made a group chat, like, or days after or something. And she talked about managing me as well, and she sent me a form via email. I'm gonna insert the screenshots here, and I had replied to it like a dumbass. She basically asked me like, what are my goals? What brands am I looking to work with? What this, what that, what this, that, and I replied. We're in a group chat, and she tells us, oh, I got these brands waiting to meet you guys. In New York. One was a lash brand, the other was clothing, and then also there's a podcast that you guys could be guests in. So I'm like, that sounds interesting. Mind you, she never told us what brand names. I realized that about writing this story down. She never told us what brands we were gonna be meeting.
Wasteful trip.
And mind you, wasn't there supposed to be like a Burna Boy concert too, and it got canceled? I think that was another thing we were gonna do too.
We were supposed to have tickets to it.
I think it got canceled too.
We went to a concert, right?
We went to something else. It was like a Ghana thing.
Yeah. But you should tell them how, because it was the stuff she was trying to set up in New York was like stuff that we could do on our own.
Exactly. No, I have Senegalese parents. To them, they're like, what's the point of you going to New York for all this when you can do this via email, you can do this over the phone? And I'm like, well, these people want to meet, and she knows a lot of people. She's good at networking. She has a marketing degree. I honestly just wanted to go to New York too, but then again, it was like I wanted to go to a productive trip. You know, we get to New York. We're in a shared room Airbnb.
Shared room in a house. Like, you're not only there.
People live upstairs. Like people live in the room next door. People live in the bathroom. We were sharing the bathroom with a whole bunch of other people in the Airbnb. We didn't expect that, but we didn't have to pay for it, so it was just like whatever. We get there and she's like, oh, the lash brand, like she's like, okay, she had a whole itinerary. We have meetings at this time, podcast at this day, this time, So Aubrey, why are you clapping your cheeks? Let me tell you guys how unorganized this trip was. We get to New York. That day, I think the same day, we were supposed to have a meeting with the lash girl. She said something about, oh, the lash girl rescheduled for tomorrow. We're just gonna do the clothing brand and the lash brand all in one meeting. I'm like, okay. Next day come. Oh, they canceled, I don't know, they're giving me the runaround, She said we could do this via email.
Well, shit.
Why the hell are we here? Why? There was no point of us being in New York if we could have did it or via email. So at that point, I'm like, if you wanted a girls trip, then you could have just said that. Literally, you could have just said you wanted a girls trip. But she had to do all this lying just to get us out. I don't know what she wanted to do. She just wanted a girls trip, but she just lied her ass to get us in a girls trip. That's all you had to say was, let's go to New York on a girls trip. I can show you guys a good time. I'm from there. That's all you had to say. But no, you dragged us all the way to New York. For no reason. We did the podcast. Well, Angui didn't, because Angui was getting ready, taking forever to get ready or whatever she was doing. But we did the podcast. The podcast was lit. So at the podcast, I met some great African men. Like, everybody was cool. Please go support Gents Remedy. I will tag their Instagram below, and I think I should be able to get their podcast link, but they're on Apple Podcasts. So yeah, be sure to do that. But yeah, so we were in New York for no reason, basically.
Did we have to pay for some party that she said that she could get us into?
I think we paid like $20, I think, for this party.
Yeah, after she said like she had all our stuff
set. She made it seem like we had free everything because of her, and like basically every plan she had didn't go the way it was supposed to go, and it was just chaotic. We had fun, but it was still just like chaotic. I got an album dedicated to this story time. I'm not playing with y'all. All the receipts are gonna be in this video. Y'all know I come with the receipts. Fast forward, I'm ready to find myself an apartment, but I was stuck between whether I wanted to live alone or have an actual roommate. When me and her first talked about it, we were down. And then after a while, I didn't care for it anymore, because I don't know, it was just like a weird feeling I got. It was like my intuition was like, this kind of, I don't know. I had like a weird intuition, but I still wanted to be roommates with her. Like, I didn't mind being roommates with her. So on July 30th, she asked if I can grab her things from the guy friend's house that she's been staying at. At this time, she was in New York on vacation. I think at that time she was there she claimed she was there for 2 months, but I'm not sure how long she was there. I agreed to get her things, but like I'm working on a tight schedule because I do hair and stuff. So I'm pretty much like, is there any way the guy that you live with can work with me to get your things so that like it's not interfering with my schedule? I didn't end up getting it the first day she asked because it just didn't work with my schedule. I tried again the next day. I contacted the guy. She's telling me that he's kicking her out because he likes her and she doesn't like him back. So I'm texting him and I'm like trying to arrange how I'm gonna get her things, because she's telling me he put her things outside and there's a laptop, electronics, and all this stuff in it. I contacted him to try to go retrieve her items, and as we're texting, I'm gonna put the screenshots in here somewhere, he's pretty much telling me like, oh, she hasn't paid rent in 2 months, which is why I kicked her out. And I'm kind of getting low-key, I don't know, I kind of got defensive, but I also was like curious as to like what was the reason why she got kicked out. And that's why I kind of asked, but that's what he told me, was that she didn't pay rent in 2 months. And she's like, well, I haven't been there in 2 months, so why am I paying rent? And I'm like, you know, at this point, it was messy. I went and got her thing, and that was that. That was the end of that. But that should have been a red flag for me, because she got evicted by somebody for not paying rent. That should have been a red flag. Months passed, she asked to be roommates, and I'm like, sure. At this point, it's just like, I might as well. And we were going to do a 3-bedroom with her, me, and my cousin, but I was having concerns that my cousin wasn't gonna be able to make rent on time, and I didn't want to be responsible for her part, or, you know, I just didn't want to deal with that. But now if I would have known, I would have just stuck with her. So now we're apartment hunting, and she's rushing to find an apartment. Like, she was, when I said she was looking anywhere, like, we were looking at apartments together, but like she was looking like at places that will approve immediately and get, like, we just move in. She looked at places like McHenry, which is like the hood. I did not plan on moving to the hood. Like, she was just picking areas that literally live shootings would just happen. Like, you just get shot just for walking around. Like, these are bad and violent neighborhoods that she was looking to move into. And I'm just informing her, like, I'm not moving into no neighborhood like that. Another problem we had was when we were looking for apartments, she was just making sure that the master room was big enough. Like, she assumed, because we didn't really discuss it at first, but as soon as she tried to select an apartment that had a second room the size of a bathroom, she just wanted to move forward with that. And I'm like, no, if we're gonna move here, since you just went ahead and approved of everything, I'm getting the master bedroom. And then now when I think about it, we didn't end up getting that apartment because she kept saying that she sent the deposit and they were having a long process and they were messing up stuff. Their communication was bad. Now that I think about it, honestly, she just didn't want to have that second room. That's all it was. So I just realized while going through screenshots that I kind of got the deposit story wrong. I'm just going to post a screenshot for you guys to read, where this girl basically says that the deposit was paid for that apartment and that it was too late to get our money back, and because her mom asked for her refund or asked to pay her back or something like that. But I'm gonna post that screenshot here. Okay, so when that apartment situation happened, I already sent over my information, sent over my deposit. A week passed, and I'm like, so what's up with that apartment? That's when she told me that, oh, they're having bad communication, so I think we should not do that apartment anymore. I'm like, okay, cool, because I didn't want to live there anyway. A week after that, I was like, no, days after that, I was like, so what happens to our deposit? She said, oh, they said they're refunding it. I'm like, okay, but why wasn't it brought to my attention was what I was wondering. I think a week after asking her for where my deposit is, and she pretty much saying it never hit her account. So this is like 2-3 weeks past. So I'm like, how long does it take to get a refund? Anyways, I'm like, well, we're still apartment hunting, so whatever money that she had in mind, I'm like, she can hold on to it and it'll just go towards whatever deposit we have to pay for the next apartment that we find. During this whole process, I created like a whole separate email just specifically for this apartment thing, because I didn't want to give her my personal email. And I had like a tight schedule, so I was letting her handle like the leasing agreement and stuff like that. I was just pretty much approving of what apartment we would like to live in. So she had all my information. She had my information. So another reason why she had all my information was because at the beginning, she said her mom was gonna be our co-signer. I believe at that time she didn't start her new job yet, or she just started and she didn't have a base stub yet. And I didn't know what the process was to getting an apartment while being self-employed. I knew that I had to get all my tax documents together and whatnot, and I was doing the most, which is why we went about it that way, if that makes any sense. She didn't physically have my social security card, but she had my social security number. And she pretty much signed the lease for this next apartment that we ended up getting. And in this apartment, we had a back and forth about who was having the master bedroom and who wasn't. And she brought up things like, oh, I have a boyfriend, you don't, my boyfriend's gonna be coming over, so I need the master bedroom. At this point, it was just like, you know, I'm not even about to go back and forth with you. I'll take the second bedroom. It wasn't that small. It was small, but it wasn't as small as the last apartment. Like, it wasn't the size of a bathroom. On October 6th, we move into the apartment. Well, we signed the lease for on October 6th. She moves in. I don't move until like 2 weeks later, I believe it was like the 15th or something like that. And here comes another red flag. We have to get the U-Haul. If you're from another country, you'll know what U-Haul is. It's just a moving truck. We have to put down a deposit. From my understanding, from when I googled deposit amounts, I saw like $20 or $50. Is that true? I even called U-Haul to try to get a fake quote and see what they said, and the person told me it was a $20 deposit. But maybe, I don't know, maybe because there wasn't insurance involved. I think that's the cost with insurance. I'm still unsure.
Money, but I don't know if it's called a deposit. Like, when I got a U-Haul, they made me pay for insurance and like, I think insurance if you needed it, and then the actual truck. I don't remember having a deposit.
Yeah, so this is why it required a deposit. So she didn't get insurance on the U-Haul. So she told me that it was a $100 deposit. But I was like, why is it a $100 deposit? But she needed to use my card for that. I guess she didn't have the funds on her card. I don't know. But she wanted to use my card. I'm like, you still owe me money, so why should I just trust you enough to just put the deposit on my card? She was like, oh, it's going to get refunded, da, 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 da. So I don't know if I let her do it or not. I think I eventually did because we didn't have no choice. Keep in mind, I was not with her when she was getting the U-Haul. I'm not sure where I was. I was probably working, and she just went ahead and got the U-Haul anyway. So, yeah. So we get the U-Haul, and then now it's time to go pick up the couch. Mind you, we went half and half on the couch. I paid my half already, and she hadn't paid her half. So she had to pay her half in order to pick up the couch. She's picking up the couch, and she texts me like, hey, could you send this much for the couch? I'm like, I already paid my part, and you still owe me money. And on top of that, my U-Haul, my card is linked to the U-Haul and all that. I'm not about to keep paying no more. We calculated that, and she realized I didn't owe anything else for the couch or anything. She knew that. She just wanted to take more of my money. I don't know who she thought she was trying to trick, but she tried to take more of my money pretty much. So at this point, I'm venting to one of my friends, and I'm like, she keeps asking for more money. Like, why is she asking for more money? I tell her about the U-Haul charges and all this, and she's like, why is it that much when she didn't get insurance? I'm like, how do you know she didn't get insurance? She was like, well, I was with her when I was driving the U-Haul for her, and she said, be careful, I didn't get insurance. But I'm like, she told me she got insurance though when I told her to break down like the charges of the U-Haul. So I text her, and I'm like, could you send me the receipt for the U-Haul? She sends it. Mind you, she's at work. She works at a call center. She sends it, but it's cropped. She crops it out where it says insurance, and then like the rest of it like was cropped off. So I'm like, could you send the whole thing? She's like, oh, I'm at work, so that's why I sent it cropped. So you're telling me you couldn't just simply screenshot it, but instead you took the time to zoom into it to send me the receipt? That takes more time. Like, she was complaining about how like I was asking for this information, but she's at work, so she couldn't really get a hold of everything, so that's why she zoomed into it. Makes no fucking sense. I'm like, no, send me the whole thing. She was taking her time sending it, but at the top I realized all the way at the top it says insurance, ? And then it said a big fat no. If I can find that screenshot, I'll put it in the video as well. It said a big fat no. So I'm like, so why did you tell me we got charged for insurance if you didn't add insurance? But I didn't want to get my friend involved that told me that Creature told her that there was no insurance involved. I showed her what it said at the top. It said no insurance. So that was another situation we had. I don't remember what conversation we had. If I can find the screenshots to those messages, I'll include that. But that was like another red flag. You trying to chip me out of money again. Now it's our first time grocery shopping. So she's like, oh, could you send me money? She just said send her, I think it was like $75. Yeah, the total was $150 for both of us. I guess it was supposed to be. And she's supposed to go get groceries, but she came back, there was no receipt. So, and I'm looking at the groceries, I'm like, this doesn't look like $150 to me. Like, nowhere near $150. So I'm like, hey, I know you just went grocery shop or whatever. next time we need receipts because this doesn't look like $150. I can't make her cough up the receipt. I don't have no proof at this point. Next time it's you're showing me how much you spent and I'm sending you what my half. So that situation came. At this point, she's starting to feel like I don't trust her no more, and she calls in a meeting for the both of us. We lay down on my bed, we calculate everything, and I forget what all was involved, like, but she eventually ended up having to cash at me like $100 or give me $100 because that's how much she owed me. So that's how much she went over on me already. Here was another problem. So upon moving in, we've talked about how we wanted, like, basically rules. Like, we didn't really, like, it was like common sense rules pretty much. Like, everything was common sense. And it was like, okay, one thing is that the bathroom must be deep cleansed at least once a week. That, like, just it not being cleaned at least once a week was like a big no for me, and I talked about that with her and we agreed, like, yeah, that's something that has to happen or whatever. She never, I think she washed the bathroom one time, and that's when I kept asking her to. I washed the bathroom at least once a week.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you were always
Yeah, I was always cleaning the bathroom because I hate dirty bathrooms. So I was always make sure the bathroom was clean, and we always had like guests over, so it was like we can't have a dirty bathroom and have guests over. At some point I kind of was fed up with just only me being the one cleaning the bathroom and cleaning her part of the bathroom as well, because it was like 1.5 bathrooms, so one part was hers. Technically she had her own sink and toilet, and I had my own sink and toilet, but we shared one tub. I texted her, I'll insert that in this video too. I messaged her like, hey, the bathroom hasn't been cleaned this all week. And she's like, okay. That was it. 2 days passed, she didn't clean the bathroom. So I just went ahead and cleaned the whole entire bathroom because I wasn't gonna wait for nobody to clean that bathroom when it needed to be cleaned. She was just lazy overall. She cooked one time. I'm not saying I expect home cooked meals, but it was just like, you cooked one time. I was always cooking. Every time I cooked, it was for everybody. It wasn't just for me only. Like, it was just certain things. Everything was not equal, and I felt like I was the one doing all the work. I'll come and get, like, she wasn't cleaning the house. She'll dirty the dishes and just leave them in the dishes, or she'll just eat something and just leave it on the table, just like that. Rarely clean the house. I can count how many times she cleaned the house in like one hand.